Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Hot Hustle Show. I'm Jeneth Lyanca,
And I'm Lyanca.
and today we've been joined with Talyn Fiore, and she is going to join us in a delicious conversation about alchemizing pain to purpose. And gosh, I'm really excited about this topic. And really, I think my brain left because I just have butterflies now that you've joined us. I don't know what that is. I was thinking about this conversation last night and some of the conversations we've had before. One of the arts that you really have is to really flip things on its head. Show
Mm.
people a different perspective and a different way to look at things so that we can really receive it in a different way. And I've just, really enjoyed when sort of like the universe just connected with me with you and what, last November or October, and I was just like,
Yeah,
I
so
just fell
recent.
in
Feels real life.
love. I just fell in love with you. I mean, and I do think that a lot of people do as well because you are that love. And
Mm.
you really want to change this world one person at a time, just as we do. So let's dive into this. Let's talk about alchemizing and how you look at that. And let's talk about that first. Then maybe we dive a little bit deeper into the pain as we
Yeah.
go into the whispers of alchemy.
Yeah, alchemy, it's so interesting. I've always had a deep passion and love for alchemy ever since I read The Alchemist years ago. And
Yeah.
that word has always really stuck with me because, like you said, I like to take something and change it. I very much hold ownership of I get to decide if this is something good or bad. I get to decide if this has meaning or not. And so when you think of alchemy, you take lead, which to the majority of the world is worthless, and you make it into something that is the most valuable thing in
Right.
existence. Even now, modern day gold is, skyrocketing. And so the beauty is if you can alchemize anything in your life that's led to gold, you are completely free. Nothing can touch you, nothing can harm you. It doesn't mean that you don't still feel the emotions. I'm very much a huge advocate of not suppressing and not like toxic positivity, but it's allowing yourself to feel it deeply and then look at this piece of lead, whatever it is, a breakup, a death, getting laid off, and saying, I'm going to turn you into something valuable. I'm going to make this lead important. I'm going to make this thing that seems so heavy, like lead in your, bag that you're carrying around, into something that actually will become currency for myself and for the world. So that's really why I love alchemy. It's just, it's being a magician. It's being a modern magician.
That's bizarre. I told Lianca came in this morning and I said, I got this message during the night a couple of days ago during a speaker. I was said, well, doubt is the opposite of gratitude.
Mm.
And I said that because in the moment that was how it came out. And then I woke up this morning and I said, well, shoot, why, like shame, blame, all those like lower vibrations of frequency, that's also the opposite of gratitude and receiving.
Mm.
And what if we could be grateful for everything? Like truly the frequency, good, bad, right, wrong, misery. Because if you say you're only grateful for these good things, then there's all this judgment.
Right.
So I was playing with this just this morning, and the way you said it made us both just
I
smile.
know.
And
I saw you
we're
guys like
thinking
tap
like,
each other.
yes. That's like universe, yes. Thank
Yes.
you for
Yeah.
giving me a little lead in this conversation before we
Yeah.
got on the line.
Yes. Oh, amazing. And it's so true because gratitude is such a high frequency and you can't hold two emotions at the same
Mhm.
time or frequencies. So if
Mhm.
you're feeling upset about something, to shift it into gratitude is such a valuable practice. But like you said, sometimes when you're feeling heartbroken, it's hard to jump into
I
gratitude.
was
It's
saying
like,
that.
yes.
Hmm.
So what I like to try to do is like in the moment of something really devastating, it is hard to alchemize it immediately. I have gotten to that point now, but that is after years, and still I'll have a little, a little tift or an emotional feeling, but then I'm like, okay, I'll get back into alignment. But that takes so much practice. So in the beginning, what I would do if I was really upset, get really physical. Like if I'm sitting on my bed and I'm heartbroken, hold my bed and just be like, I'm grateful for this bed. I am grateful for this
Yes.
that can hold me while I cry. I
Mm.
am grateful for this delicious food my friends brought me. So making it so tangible that you're not trying to say, I'm grateful for this heartbreak as you're like crying in bed, you
Right,
know?
right.
You'll see why it happened years later, time
Yes.
after. You'll be like, oh, thank God that happened because it moved me. But in
Mm,
that moment, it's really just alchemizing in small ways. I
mm,
think for me, what has become so valuable is alchemizing pain into little pieces of art.
mm.
So for me, writing a poem, if I'm really emotional and then I write it into a poem, even if it's a sad poem, it's now a piece that exists, that that pain has been alchemized into something tangible.
I like
And
that.
now that poem can help someone. And
Yes.
so it's like and it doesn't have to be art. It can be you decide to make a meal. You know, you're sad about maybe your relationship with your mom. So you make this really nostalgic meal by yourself and honor your childhood and your mother. So it's like alchemizing your pain into creativity doesn't have to just be art. It's just taking something and making it into something else.
I love that
I
so
love it.
much.
Oh my gosh. It just, well, if you think alchemy, and my husband's actually a chemist.
Oh, amazing.
So, when you put a rock or an element with fire or ice, it changes states, right? But it doesn't change it right away. Like, think about water. If you just add some, like, it doesn't immediately become ice.
Yeah.
It,
And
it Mhm, go
I
ahead.
think like the actual, like just back in the day when we were talking about the actual process of alchemy, it was handed down by generations. It was this like very hard thing for people to understand, and it required knowledge and patience and practice. Like it's one of the most simple, we can't actually do it, but it's like one of the most simple processes ever, but it requires practice and commitment over and over and over. When you think of a diamond being made, it's the pressure of the diamond that's happening over a long period of time. So
Mhm.
with the alchemy, it's kind of everything I think about is micro and macro. Even with helping people, I serve people one-on-one in sessions, but I plan to, heal millions with books and with movies and all these other things. Same with alchemy. You want to alchemize the big pain you're feeling into something. But in order to do that, you must alchemize the moment. And it's a lot easier to alchemize in the moment by cooking or dancing or singing or creating something small or being thankful for your bed just for holding you. So once you can start doing those little like micro alchemizations, it builds your muscle to then say, okay, now this huge thing, I can now alchemize this because I have the strength and I've built up the practice of it.
Yes. I mean, I love that you shared that because one of the things I came back to Jeneth and said, I said, she was saying, but if we're doing that, if we are not being grateful or if we're, minus making them uh, unpractical. And I said, if we're doing that, she said, well, then that's judgment. And I said, well, look, I said, it's really hard for someone that has maybe been abused or let's say you've had a sexual abuse, right? And we have been trained to put that out to them. No, no, girl, that was them. No, that's them. And so it's really hard sometimes to come to that place of how did I create this? Because if we're master creators in this universe, then we would have to say that we created that abuse. And so then from that place, it's harder to think that I created it, A, and B, that I then want to be grateful for it. Like that just, right?
Blows your
So,
mind.
but we are coming to a higher evolution. We are coming to start to understand that we are master creators and everything in this world and our essence is to teach us something. How do you get from, what do you say? And I know that you said the little small pieces, but what do you just say to somebody that you might be struggling in that way?
Yeah, I would say that it is so important to feel and to meet yourself right where you are.
Yeah.
I can personally speak from experience. I lost my father suddenly at 18 and I ignored it for years. I put it in a box, I buried it deep. It only came out when I drank too much. And it wasn't until years later of repressing and repressing and repressing of finally it was actually a breakup that kind of opened the box because I couldn't hold it all anymore. I couldn't hold the breakup and the box. And so the breakup opened the box and I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And it wasn't until I felt it all. It wasn't until I processed those emotions. I went to therapy. I saw healers. I think when it's the bigger things
Yes.
like abuse and heartbreak and death, it is necessary to have support because
Yeah.
it is so much bigger than, oh, you got a flat tire, but it was happened for a reason. It goes so deep and that pain is so
Yeah.
treacherous that you need to have someone to help you with it and almost just to be there to hold you and love you as you process it and go through it and really look at each piece of it. But I also am not a huge fan of like a lot of therapy, you go back to the memory. I think that is valuable to a point. I
Right.
think it's important to see patterns and to understand things. But I think that the reason that healing has become so big is because you embody the knowing. Oh, I have these patterns, but now I'm going to embody a different life. And even with, death or sexual abuse or these bigger things, it's also getting to a point, and I wouldn't ever say thank sexual abuse. I don't think that just like doesn't feel resonant in my body.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say not becoming identified with it and letting it be the only thing about you that you can remember because the pain is so thick. I think it's necessary to unpack that pain with someone, with a therapist, with a healer,
Yeah.
with
Yes.
someone, so that you realize that is a piece of your story,
Yeah.
an piece that should have never happened, but you identify now as, I am going to rise in not live in its shadow, and deciding that that's kind of where the sovereignty comes in. I
Yes.
remember I was in Bali, and I remember I was like my first time ever traveling alone. I spent a month in Bali on a whim. And I remember sitting there and thinking, why did my dad die? Like, where is the beauty in it? Like, what's the gift? And I remember just getting such a deep knowing of, you're going to change the world. And if you did not lose him, you would not, because that breaking of you created you. And my dad essentially came in and said, I gave my life so that you could heal the world.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. That's
It's funny
so
because
brave.
my dad, I felt, did sort of a same thing. When he died, I almost felt that he led me. Like I started to hear whispers like I'd never heard, and had spirits and inceptions from him.
And your dream.
And yeah, yeah. And I had this surreal ass dream of how he actually was one of my guides. And I mean, it was so surreal, that I woke up like, why am I in bed? I mean, it was like, no, it
Not
really
real.
happened.
Mhm.
So that's so, so beautiful that, well, and I think, don't you think that people do choose to go on the other side to help us?
Yes, I very much believe. I mean, there's so many things I think that we all set up things preordained. I think that there's a lot of free will. So I think with each choice you make, the universe kind of says, oh, we're going that path. Now we have to move things around to
Yes.
follow that
Yes.
path. But
Yes.
I very much believe that there was never like a reality when my dad was here past 18, because of the potential that I had as a soul coming in. I think I was born on like 5 retrogrades. And so I got an Akashic, or not an Akashic, an astrological reading once. He goes, I feel like you came here and we're just basically like, I'm gonna F shit up. Like he was like, you were like, break me young, like make it so difficult, like the diamond, that it is just like boom, 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 boom. So by the time I'm, in my 30s, I know who I am. I know what I want to do, and I'm going to heal the world. Micro, macro, one by one and millions. But if
Yes.
all that stuff didn't happen young, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I'm so thankful for all of the pain, all of the heartbreak, all of the grief. And I can personally say that about every single thing I've gone through that's bad. I do thank it, because I know that it was necessary for me to be where I am today.
Absolutely.
Gosh, that's so brave of you. So thank you for being on that journey, and thank you for sharing that with us in a very vulnerable way. Because to ask those questions and be like, why did my dad die? And then be, I'm grateful. That's a very hard, that's a big gap.
Yeah.
And bless you for doing so. Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I mean, it's like
It took a long time. I like to say that too. I think people in spiritual journey, they always want to just be like, hey, can I have one session and be healed? And I'm like, look, it is a lifetime journey. If you figure it all out, you'll probably just die. You'll probably just dissolve
Yeah.
and go back into
Yes.
the source. Like,
Yeah.
Why be here?
Yeah.
it's just you're never the journey and the learning and the healing does not end. Even myself, I'm a full-time healer and I'm still constantly in awe of how I'm being shaped by my clients and shaped by the world. And I always think, oh, now I've made it. And I'm like, this is just the beginning
It
of my
is.
own evolution and healing. But that's the delicious part. It's not to rush through it. It's to enjoy every bit of it.
Yeah. I thought this was a good question on the feed. Andrew asked, can you be grateful for something in the past, but still in deep sadness?
Yes, I think that is definitely a yes, because just to go back to the example I have, I'm so grateful for everything that happened. I'm actually grateful too, because now I have my dad as like, I have his soul to work with
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
his human, which his human was kind of difficult.
I love
It was
it.
kind of a hard guy to get around. Um, but I still have deep sadness sometimes. It's rare, but there are moments where like a song will hit me and I will just bawl. And I think the beauty is so much of life is not this or that, it's this and that. Everything exists simultaneously. You can be grateful for the breakup because it sent you on a new job in a new country, but your heart is still grieving the loss of love, whatever it is. I think it's really important to open the conversation about holding everything together. You can be really mad at someone and love them. We've all been there. You can regret something and be grateful for it. You can be embarrassed while being happy. Like, it's all of it. We're such labelers. We're such a
You're
labeling
right.
society. I'm a
We
vegan, I'm fit, I'm single, I'm poly, it's like, let's just all decide every morning who we are and be that way and have complete freedom to change our minds tomorrow.
I
And
love
maybe we
that.
don't even need to decide.
Exactly. Just allow it to
We just
unfold.
be, yeah, we can change on a dime if we want to change. Well, I want to change the conversation just a little bit and talk about pain in the body. I know as a Reiki master, you work with a lot of bodies, and sometimes you have to go through the body to alchemize things. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe how we might go about alchemizing pain?
Yeah, so there's that brilliant book, Body Keeps the Score, that I am such of the belief that physical ailments are real. They are 100% real, but the energetic imbalance underneath them is what creates it. I think someone gave me this example once. You can take a woman that just went through a divorce and she's having a really hard time and she goes skiing and she, skis down and she breaks her right leg. Yes, she's broken her right leg. That is real, but it is all the fear and the anger at the masculine, which is the right side, that has created that slight imbalance that had her catch the mountain at the wrong place and break her leg. So it's thinking that when you are treating the body, a lot of the times we're putting a band-aid on a deeper issue. So whenever I have anything happen to me, I'm always like, which side is it? Always.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right is masculine, left is feminine. So if I
Mhm.
like tweak my neck one night, I'm like, ooh, my feminine side, like, what is she trying to tell me? And it's usually either, well, for me, I kind of ride the masculine side a lot more. So usually my feminine side will give me a little pain to say, hey, go sing, go dance, slow down, stop working. And so my body's constantly trying to communicate with me. So when you're having a physical pain, I would say start there. Which side of the body is it in? And if you meditate with it, what is it trying to tell you? I had acne issues for a long time after I got off birth control, and it was very much me realizing that I was not accepting myself. I was still so obsessed with what people thought about me, to the point where I had acne on my face in my late 20s. Like, it was a nightmare. And the universe was getting so loud of like, you have to love yourself through it. We're
Yes.
going to make it so loud on your face that until you love yourself, then it will go away. And now, like, I have clear skin and it's like, praise Jesus. But
No, it's a real
Well,
thing.
and I always thought, face is something that you're not facing, which could also fall into that as well.
yeah, I
Like you
think
weren't
that,
facing the ability to be judged because of your acne and things like that, right?
and I was quite spiritual at this point. It was like after I'd done ayahuasca, that's why I got off birth control. So I would have, if you had asked me then, I would have said that I was very free, which is true, but I still deeply cared what people thought of me.
Yeah.
Deeply. I was raised up in Las Vegas. You know, we were kind of like a new rich family. Like my dad he was homeless and became a really wealthy and, you know, spent a lot of money. And so I was raised very superficial. I was raised wear makeup. I was raised, you know, if you have cellulite, put on tights. I was raised on like looking perfect and put together. And so the acne just did, and I've always been able to kind of like get people to like me. So with the acne, it was this really tangible manifestation of, can you can you accept yourself even if you feel ugly, quote unquote, you know? Can you get past what other people think? And I honestly at that time thought I was past it. And then the acne made me realize I wasn't, because I was so afraid to go outside. I was like, oh wow, I clearly do care what people think.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, it was a struggle for years. I did every tea and everything you can think of, but it wasn't until I fully stopped caring what people think, which took years. And now I can confidently say I'm pretty close. You know, I'm pretty big on Instagram and TikTok. So with that comes a lot of squirmy comments that you got to get used to. And now it's just, you know, they fall off. Like I don't even think about them. Half the time I laugh and I say, thanks for bringing joy into my morning. This was hilarious. Because
that's awesome. Will you talk a little bit about that, just because it does go into the self-worthiness, and I know we talked about this behind the scenes a little bit, and I also think that it's kind of it is inspiring how you finally were able to, like, I treated this as a real business. I really got serious about why I was posting, and how you let that drop away, and now it's, you know,
yeah, so
much for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little backstory. So when I was still going through all of this self-worth and this caring what people thought of me, the beginning of last year, 2023, I'm like so confused on dates. I got a lot of intuitive pings to get on social media. I was very anti-social media. I had written a whole television show about how like the cons and the evil of social media.
Yeah.
So when this ping came in, I was like, no way. And then like 2 days later, someone else said it. And I was like, okay, interesting. And then like a couple days later, a third person said it. And if something happens in threes, I always do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm petrified to get on social media. TikTok was easy because it was all strangers, but to post on my Instagram with my high school friends and college friends, I'd been spiritual for, gosh, ages, 6 or 7 years, but I wasn't, people in my real life knew I was spiritual, but I wasn't, you know, posting it publicly. And I made a commitment. I said, okay, I'll do this for 30 days. Let's just like, for me, if there's fear, that is the way. That's what Carl Jung says. So for me, I was so afraid of posting. I was like, crap, I have to do it now, because there's clearly some huge block. And I think I went viral in like 2 weeks and was like, whoa, okay, so maybe this is the way. And in the beginning, you know, I had the perfect lighting and the perfect setup and I had my makeup on and like everything. But when you post every day, like you can't keep that up. You cannot keep it up. So then it was always the videos where I'm laying in bed. It'd be like 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to post. And I have no makeup on, pimples awry, but filming a video. Those were the ones that went viral.
I love that.
The truest, most in the moment ones. So even to this day, I actually post every single day. I don't like film ahead of time, because I wait every day for spirit to tell me something. And then I jump on my phone and post it. And it was difficult at first with the comments. I think when your first kind of set of comments, you're like, whoa, people really can be nasty, especially when something goes viral. Because when you're in the millions, there's just people that are saying stuff just to stir the pot.
Yeah.
And it had to increase my armor even more. It's like, I had a few people reach out too of, I love that you post without makeup on your, you know, socials. It gives me bravery. And I'm like, if you only knew the skin journey I had, like, so it's been, everything I do is meant to heal others, but I'm healing myself in the actual process of it. Like doing social media has completely created this deep love and appreciation where I really don't care what people think anymore. Like anyone, like I really can just say, I will shout my truth from a mountaintop. And if you don't like it, you can kick rocks, go subscribe to another channel.
Sure.
Like I don't care, because I love myself that much. Where what you say is not going to affect how I feel about myself.
Oh,
It's
man,
also
that's inspiring.
become very aware in working with you that you also know exactly your boundaries and exactly how you want to present things.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little more about that? Because I feel like that has a lot to do with how you create and manifest in this world.
Yeah, I would
Because you're
say,
so clear.
Yeah.
yeah, I would say with boundaries to touch on that first, I used to be such a people pleaser to the point of just being always empty because I was going out of my way for everyone.
Mhm.
And when you realize that the core of people pleasing is trying to earn love,
Mm.
period. People can say, no, I'm generous, that is true. If you have any condition attached to it of, I did that for you last week, that is not unconditional love. That is you trying to either get tit for tat or to earn love. And so I think for
Yeah.
so much of my life, I let people walk all over me. Oh my goodness. So now I'm so strong with my boundaries energetically with clients because I have containers where people text me. If I feel like it's too much, I'm just like, hey, like this is, my time. It's past this time or it's on the weekend. I'm also just really clear with familial relationships. I've spent the last year traveling. I left LA and kind of had this spiritual sojourn that transformed my life. And I had to take a step back from some people in my life because I was like, I need to be so strong in myself that you don't affect me as much because you
Yes.
affect me so much. But I realized like, you're not going to change. I have to change, but I need space to do that. And so I have hard boundaries with really close people in my life. If I only let them so close because I know that having that boundary up keeps me safe.
Mm.
And so the thing that's funny about boundaries and people pleasers is that you think by people pleasing and being over generous, people are going to like you more. They can subconsciously feel the desperation behind that and
Yeah.
they actually push you away. The
Yeah.
second, I've had so many like clients where I'm like, hey, this is this way, and they actually respect me more. Or, hey, this is my rate now, and they respect me more because they can feel that I respect myself.
Mm.
That's what happens with boundaries. They can sense that you respect yourself. So then they're like, oh, I'm going to respect them because they respect them.
Mm-hmm.
You get walked all over. They can sense this is all happening subconsciously. No one
Yes.
realizes this. They're
Yes.
like, subconsciously, it's like, oh, they don't care about themselves. So I'm just going to dump my load on them too.
Mm.
So that's a huge part. I kind of forgot the second part of the question,
Well, I
but
was just saying that clarity within your boundaries, I think that has a lot to do with how you create in the world and how you manifest. I just feel like you're really, really clear. But
yeah,
it's almost as if you just
okay.
bounce off the universe. Like it's almost like you don't have to actually create a vision. I think there are visions that are created, but it's more that you just follow the whispering world.
Yeah, and it's been so interesting because before I used to be like, this is the way, hard boundaries, this is the only way. And I can do it myself. No one can do it better. Then it was just like this. So if you just it's like, like all that frequency is so intense. And I actually launched a book for my 30th birthday. And it was like, I was so set on the 30th. It had to be this way. I was smoking a cigarette on the cover because it was a very like old glam, like old Hollywood glam
Yes.
look.
Yes.
And after months of learning the software, publishing everything, 30th birthday, it comes out. You can't market anything with a cigarette at all, period.
Oh.
So I sat there and bawled on my 30th birthday. I was like, why? And it's so funny in hindsight, that was me, the human, taking this really beautiful idea of a book, but then humanizing it, of being, it has to be this way, it has to be on this timeline. And I learned so much in that experience of, okay, I need to allow the universe to work through me. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so interesting because that book itself, like everyone loved it, but it just never really got to see the light of day because of stupid cigarette.
Right.
And I don't even smoke. So it's even funnier. Like everyone's like, what was the point? I'm like, I just wanted to like look like Hollywood glam. Like,
Yes. Yes.
and so in
Funny.
like in hindsight though, it's such a blessing because I always saw a second vision for that book and I always saw it on vinyl. Like I wanted to speak it with music on vinyl. That's like always been a goal. And over 3 years, when we're talking time, 3 years, I finally was led to the perfect book designer. I was finally led to the perfect musician, and things have unfolded so much better than I could have ever expected because I listened. I listened, but it was like, don't try to push the cigarette thing. Cause I could have changed the cover and pushed it, back then. This is not the time. Like, put this down to save your life. Cause I was so stressed about it. And it fell away for quite some time. Other books came in, and it's like you said, Jeneth, it's listening. It is okay, like, pay attention to this musician or bring up the book in this conversation. And so then I will. And then I meet a musician, and it's just listening to, when you're creating, you have to realize it is its own entity. It
Yes.
has its own ideas and purpose and thoughts. So when I'm trying, it's like a child and a mother. It's like when you're telling your child, you have to eat this way and talk this way and go to this school. It's like, that's not the type of mother I want to be. I want to say, I brought you into this world. You healed me. Now I'm going to release you so that you can heal others. And that is the actual beauty of alchemy too, is timing and waiting and listening and allowing it to be bigger than yourself. Collaborating with people made me realize how remarkable that process is.
Yeah.
How my vision is not the best. Like, it can only take me so far. And then working with incredibly talented people really turns it into something real. And so it's just been this amazing process too, of now this book is coming out in May, and it's like, it's 3 years in the making, but it had to unfold in its perfect timing. It had to be that way. And it's just the listening. Believe me, there's times where I wanted it to be, 2 years ago. I'm like, I think now's the time. And I got, no, it's not. And having to listen and allowing yourself to be flexible to changes and never letting go of like the original vision, because
Yes.
someone has to be the one to hold the intention of the dream, but
Sure.
allowing all of the changes to happen as it
The
unfolds.
entity to talk to you and be its own creative. I love that so much. And we've been talking about that on the show a little bit here and there, but the way you so eloquently put it, and that it had, the mother analogy, it's just phenomenal. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So, but the idea of having that Hollywood glam initially, that was still an inkling and inspiration, right?
Well, so totally. I actually, in my current book, I think the first book was called Brown Eyed Girl, and I thank it in this book. And I say, thank you, Brown Eyed Girl, for teaching me the importance of divine timing and patience. If you had soared, waking up an ode to alchemy wouldn't exist. Because
Interesting.
if that had worked, I wasn't ready yet. I thought I was ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to carry what the book is meant to do in the world. And so I had the idea of the Hollywood glam, so it would stop there. So I would hit a wall, so that it would wait till now, when I know who I am. I can actually hold the frequency of the impact it's supposed to have. And also, I have an audience now, and I know who I am. And it's just like the world is hungry for it. And so it's a perfect point. Yeah, that failure, quote unquote, was divinely orchestrated.
Yeah.
I love that. Just shower you with some celebrations.
Yeah,
I know.
celebration.
Yeah.
It wasn't a failure. Yeah, like we got the celebratory confetti.
Well, I mean, there's so many people out there that talk about how failure leads to success. Like, the more you fail, the more success you will have. Usually the people who have the most money have had the most failures.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about how fear you use that to guide you, because I feel that, there's a difference between that fear where you just have butterflies and it's actually possibly misidentified as excitement, right? And then there's like fear, like this could injure you or hurt you.
Yeah. I think that so much discernment is important there. This is spending enough time with your body that you know how it communicates with you, because I can tell the difference in my body of, if I'm in a situation with a group of people and I can feel it's draining my energy and I need to leave, I can feel that kind of like nudge of like, hey, get out of here. This is not for you. Versus, I'm afraid to do this for a project and it's bumping into my ego. That's a different feeling. That's like, I don't want to do this because what will people think? Or I don't want to do this because it could fail. Or I don't want to, those are two different kind of markers. So it's important to know within yourself how they speak to you. If I bump into the second fear, If it ever has to do with my ego, if it ever has to do with fear around money, if it ever has to do with fear of rejection, I push through it because
Yeah.
I know that those are some of my wounds. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go straight through it, because when you push through the fear, you realize it's way less scary than you thought.
Mm.
It's the anticipation of something that creates fear. It's like, have you seen, like the little kid it's like a meme where he thinks he's drowning and he's like, "Ah," he's freaking out. And then like the mom just stands him up and it's like, it's really,
Yes.
that's fear. It is the thought of, this is going to hurt me. This is going to be scary. Rejection's going to suck. If you push through it, you immediately get to the other side and say, hey, that wasn't so bad. But if you stay on the other side of it, you can just sit in that fear for decades and just wondering. And fear is like, a lot of the time, fear is not, it's an illusion. It is something that doesn't actually exist yet because you haven't done it. It's what you think it's going to be like on the other side, but you don't actually know until you're on the other side. So you might as well just go to the other side and see for yourself instead of
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I imagine if you had stayed on the forward side or the back side of fear and not done the social media for those silly reasons, right? But those are very valid reasons. I just saw somebody write about that. And, are you holding yourself back because of family, or you're afraid of, what your past people would think? And that's that comes up for a lot of people in a lot of ways, of the way that they shut themselves down from being able to share their gifts with the world.
Fear other people, what people are going to think about them. So
Mhm.
it's a matter of, if you just do it without caring what other people think, you'll realize it doesn't really matter as much as you think they did, because half the people aren't even paying attention. All the people you're so afraid they're going to judge you, they're not even paying attention. They're like not even looking at you half the time. And then also on the latter half, I had a bunch of people from college reach out and say how impactful my content was. This was like before I was larger.
Yeah.
And it surprised me, because I'm like, wow, I thought that was one of the people that would unfollow me. So
Mm.
it's also just realizing half the time we're deciding what we think other people are going to do. You
Yeah.
have to let them decide themselves.
Right.
It's not up to predetermine how they're going to react, because a lot of the time, allow yourself to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. One time I got in the series, it was like, I feel like we're hitting an offer after every call. Is it too much? And then I was in a meditation, and then it said something like, you need to give people the opportunity to make their choice. And just make it an invitation, something to the tune of that. And I thought, oh, what a blessing. So I was guided to do that and put together these amazing offers. And, it's fine, because now everyone has all these different choices.
Yeah. And also, if you think about it, it's like a buffet. Like, everyone doesn't like seafood. Everyone doesn't like eggs or cheese or whatever it is. So you have to send out a plethora of options, because everyone's going to speak to one of them and not all of them. And so it's about trying to have as many languages or flavors as you can, so that you can try to connect with as many people as you can.
Yes.
Yeah,
So much
absolutely. One of my biggest fears when I was starting my business was, I was terrified of wasting a lot of money and a lot of time and not getting results. And I was so stuck on that I was just stuck and wouldn't take action. And I was actually going to a regular psychologist, and she's like, interesting. So basically, you're gonna just stay and do nothing. She's like, you can either live this and see if that's actually even true,
Right.
or you can just do nothing. And she's like, do you really want to live your life doing nothing? And it was like, okay, I'm listening now. That was kind of the kick in the ass I needed.
And also, I think that there's something to be said about, when you create your own business, it's amazing and it's hard. I think there's a lot of, do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. And that is true. And you should strive to do something you love every day, because it's the majority of your life. but that doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges. I feel like people have one challenge and they're like, oh, I guess this isn't meant to be. It's like, no, you need to be able to be a CEO, CFO, marketing, customer service, like content,
It was
like
so
you're
great.
actually like having your own company. It's actually not having one job. It's having 15 different jobs and figuring them all out.
True.
And just realizing that even your dream is going to have road bumps, you know, like it's
Yes,
not always
yes.
going to be a walk in the park. And that's okay. That doesn't mean it's not the right way. And I also wanted to touch on money really quick too, because I think that's such a big topic around
Yes.
people not wanting to chase their dreams.
Yeah.
I was raised very kind of like a little bit like lower the middle class. And then my dad became extremely wealthy. And like I mentioned, he was homeless when he was a child. So he was like new money, very, flashy and nice cars and all that stuff. When he passed away, my mom was able to kind of keep up a guise as if we had money to get us through college. And then once we graduated, it was very, hey, the money's actually gone. You guys are on your own. And again, I'm thankful for this because me having everything handed to me would have been a much different journey. From that day forward, everything I have is self-made. Like my car I own, everything I've done has been from the bottom up. And I like to tell people that to say that you can do it too. I have even like 2 years ago, I was selling my mom like a $30 gift card for money. Like I was like, do you like go to Ulta? She's like, what? I was like, can you Venmo me $30 for this gift card? Like that's how low I was. And so I just like to talk about that because I think people can see me and they can see where I'm at and they're like, oh, she's had it easy, this and that. And it's just, I'm self-made. And so can you. You can be
I
too. And
love
it's
that.
scary and it's risky. And there have been times where, like, when I moved to Sedona last year, I sold everything and moved to a city I'd never been because my intuition told me to. I was just like, okay, and I didn't have any money at the time. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I just was doing it. And it works out every time. When you jump, sometimes you have to jump without the net. So many people I talk to are like, well, I need to have a nest egg. I need to figure out a
Yes.
backup. Like, no, 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 no. When you jump without seeing the net, that is when the net appears. And I know it's petrifying, but the universe wants to see, do you trust me? Do you trust me enough to jump? And I have cold chills because it's like, this is the thing people miss is this moment. Blind faith is a currency with the universe.
Girl,
Wow.
speak.
Wow.
I love it.
Feel like another badassery conversation
Yes,
here.
yes, like-
Well, let's, do you want to open up the chat? Do you want to take some live callers? We've got a few on the chat already. Lyanca, do you want to read a few of them?
Sure. And anybody raise your hand as well if you want to come on mute. Let's see. Dee says, what about physical pain, for example? Neurologia may of some kind, maybe a nervous system situation like fibromyalgia. I see this in my practice sometimes and live with a she's putting all these
Fancy words in there.
Trigonomenal nerve thing myself. The one is interesting about how to have something that is more than temporary relief. So she's talking about like actual nervous system and fibromyalgia. So things that have like that long lasting, that ping, stuff like that, instead of it just being like in your side and it's telling you something. What do you think about those in the body?
So when it's an all over symptom,
Sure.
to me, it's there's a disharmony in the soul in a very energetic level it is taking over everything.
Interesting.
So it is a lot of the time unrepressed emotion. It can be grief, it can be resentment, it can be anger, it can be rejection of your own self. So you're flaring up because you're rejecting yourself. So it's such a case by case basis. But when it's the whole body, it is even more of a reason to, in my mind, work with a healer alongside as a medical professional.
Sure.
I really like, like kind of Eastern and that type of stuff. But I think that when it's something that is that severe, making sure you're doing both. But you want to make sure with the healing, you're going to that underlying issue, having someone assess your energy and figuring out like, why is this happening? What is the resistance energetically that is creating this? My mom had breast cancer a few years ago and she's completely fine in remission and everything, which is, God bless.
Yes.
But she's the first one to say, this was years of unrepressed resentment and anger towards your father that I just held and held and held. And then the grief of losing him increased that. So she is the first person to say all of that negative, toxic energy lived in me creating this cancer. And then the cancer left and she, you know, worked on all the things and it has not come back. So that is how powerful emotions are that are trapped in the body. If you think of how much love can make you feel, how amazing it can change your whole dynamic, imagine that the same thing is happening with something that is quote unquote negative, that is unrepressed. So really going deep of, am I rejecting myself? Is this a specific trauma that I have pushed down that I need to look at? Is this not being able to receive love? Is this, there's just so many things that I would get assessed by someone energetically to see, am I not loving myself? There's so much, but it feels so much bigger, like you said, than just masculine or feminine.
Isn't it fascinating that now science is now, it's, you know, basically just showing that exactly what you said, that now we can put both the spirit and, you know, Western medicine together, right? You know, epigenetics is showing us that.
Yeah.
That it wasn't always just the genes, because I was born to believe, you know, bad genes, that I was going to have breast cancer.
Yeah.
No, it's the environment. And how do we design our environment? We do that with the vision that we have in our minds. So then we have the power back to change our brain, to change our thoughts, to then change our environment, which then changes our bodies
And our entire
feeling.
energy. Yeah.
And I
Yes.
love that it's like, I love that it's scientific. I love that they
Right.
have actual proof of genetic is not really a thing. It is the environment of the child being in the same environment as the parent. And that's actually why it's getting passed down. And there's so many different research and evidence too, of like when you speak to something positively versus negatively. So if you
Right.
think that your body is this environment, like regardless just of this environment, your body is an environment. So what happens internally? What are you saying? What are you thinking? What are you judging? What are you loving? And that is the fertilizer that you're giving to create your actual physical body. And this environment is the most important. You know, it's kind of like figure out your own, like fill your own cup, figure out this environment before you blame everything around you. It's, you know, it was this relationship, it was my daughter not being nice, all these things. It's like, just go in. If everyone went in and stopped worrying about everyone else, the whole world would heal.
Yes.
It's all pointing fingers and looking and it's your fault and my fault. It's just like, go in, heal here. This is all you can control. And then you become a clearer mirror for other people to see their healing in you. And then you inspire them to heal themselves.
Yeah,
Amen,
we've been talking
sister.
about that all series, and how, you know, most of these big things that are chronic, those are systemic, like way down to, you know, shame from a 2-year-old. My mom thinks that she ended up dying of breast cancer, but she thinks she got breast cancer because she was sexually assaulted when she was 17. And she just wanted to hide, you know, and hide her her female organs and things like that. She was a very private person. And it was so interesting that, I mean, she didn't know until like her final days, really, that that was really might have been how that was created. But she's like, no, this, you know, breast cancer doesn't run. Because I was like, is this something I really need to worry about? You know, because grandma didn't have it and the other grandmas and this, that, and the other. And she's like, no, I think I might have created this. You don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
interesting, huh?
visualization and, you know, sending you love too. I know that that's not easy to lose her. And I feel like the fact that that clarity came too closer to her end days
I
is
was
showing,
thinking the same thing. Yes.
yeah, showing even more so of having that divine clarity of that is what's happening with all of us. If we could all just like take a beat and stop blaming everyone and just literally look at things from a new perspective, there is just no harm in trying to see it from a different lens.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to take another question?
Sure,
There's
sure.
one
Let's see.
that's
Roll
further
on
down.
Let's see. So let's see.
Manpreet.
Yeah, Manpreet says, these days I feel uncomfortable around some people as they are talking negative or about their pains all the time. Previously, I would love to be part of these such conversations, but now I just feel uncomfortable to listen to any kind of negative thought process. Should I keep to myself, keep myself away from such people? And is this like some kind of sign?
Yeah, So what it feels like, just my own intuition as it's coming through, because I always have like my own intuition, and just so everyone knows, you've been getting Reiki this whole time,
Yay.
because whenever I do, you get Reiki. But so right as that comment came through, immediately I heard is that you specifically have shifted your frequency higher. So it is time for you to allow these conversations that used to fuel you, let them fall away. Because you guys now, I don't like to think of like higher or lower, but they're different vibrationally now. You've grown and evolved. So if you let these things fall away that no longer resonate, you're actually making space for connections that resonate to come through. This might mean that for a little bit you are isolated. That kind of is how it goes. You know, you let it fall away, you're isolated because, again, you want to make sure that you can hold it. And then these new, delicious, resonant conversations and connections will come through.
Wow.
And that's just always such a good indicator. I'm of the belief that you should not, if something doesn't feel right in your body, walk away. You don't owe anything to anyone to be in a place where it makes you feel uncomfortable. And even if they were your friends in the past, I've lost a lot of friends over my life, and I bless them and I love them, and I can still hold joy for what they were, but they no longer feel good. And I value my energy more than money. And so I'm like, if this doesn't feel good, I'm gonna walk away and always send you love and blessings. And then people that do feel good come right in and take their spot.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Again, yes, you're very clear on that. And I think that's supported in every
But-
single way.
Yeah. All right, let's take
Go ahead.
one more live caller, and then we will talk about your new creation, which is
Hey.
really interesting and epic. So just Manisha, you're up. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello, ladies. Thank you so much. I love today's conversation and on so many levels with other listeners and Talyn as well. I'm thinking of writing a book about my life and my health challenges. I don't have a large intestine. I don't have a spleen, so many surgeries. And you know, again, I resonate with you saying, you know, now is the time, divine timing. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, because it's really, I've been wanting to write and not being able to. So I just wanted to say that. And again, I resonate with on so many levels about fear. I've been on the on this call with you ladies maybe a couple of weeks ago when you first started, because I've had a difficult relationship with my father, who's passed away. My ex-husband was gay. So on so many levels, betrayal, pain, guilt, shame. So, you know, like you said, you know, go within and, you know, evaluate, okay, these were karmic lessons. But sometimes it's hard to just, you know, justify as well that, you know, why so much pain, you know, one has to go through.
Yeah, and I first just want you to just take a deep breath in and just receive some Reiki. I can feel your heart right now, and I just want to thank you so much for being here and let you know that you are right where you are meant to be. I'm getting a full yes on your book, like full yes. And I just want to tell you too that you are going to face a lot of this pain as you write. So I just want to let you know that it's going to be the catalyst for your healing, that the book itself doesn't matter. It is the process that you are going to go through as you write the book that is going to heal the pain that is still so active in you. I can feel the pain and know that the writing of it won't always be easy, because I am also writing a book about my own life that's going to come out next year. And it has been tough to face it and to write it. But it is through, again, the obstacle, through the difficulty, that you heal even further. So I applaud you on writing your life story, and just know that it is the path. I definitely think you should write it, and just prepare yourself for even deeper healing. So when the end of that book is written, you can look back and look at the process of, wow, that finally healed all of these wounds that I'm still holding, that are still active in me. Sending you so much love.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. Wonderful
so
call. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Talyn, let's talk about this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. You surprised me a lot. And when I looked at this page, I
It's
was just
beautiful,
like, oh
first
my
off.
gosh. This is just so you.
I know. This
Yeah.
is like, yeah, this the soul of me that is deeper. And
Mhm.
this is the book that I mentioned. The first round had its time a few years ago, and this one is called Waking Up, an Ode to Alchemy. And it is a collection of poems and photography, and the whole first half of the book is black, and then the whole second half is white. And the
Ooh.
reason being is that I want you to walk into my deepest pain with me and then see how I turned it into light. And so really the goal with this is, can you wake up? Can you wake up from the darkness? Can you wake up from sleepwalking in your own pain and wake up to the light inside, wake up to the power inside? And just a little background, I never planned on publishing these poems. So I wrote these poems thinking they would never see the light of day. You know, I was very much like going really, really raw. And a couple of years ago when the first one came out, I had a medium say, this book that you're writing is going to change the world. And I was like, I'm not writing a book. I was working on a TV show at the time. She's like, no, this book. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I went home the next day. I was living in Laguna Beach at the time, and my poetry journal fell and flipped open to the first page. And I had written Book of Poems by TF.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is the book. This is the book she was talking about. So that's when I put them together, and I had that first launch for my 30th birthday. And since then, I always felt like there was more for it. I always felt like I would get random messages from people saying, I have Brown Eyed Girl, and I leave it on my nightstand. And every morning I flip to a page and get a message for the day. And I always felt that, and kind of like we were talking about the first book, I'm on the cover, my face is very open. I feel like the first book was more about me. It was called Brown Eyed Girl. I was on the cover. This book, Waking Up, an Ode to Alchemy, is all about you. It's all about you. I want you to feel my pain and my depth so that you have the courage to face your own. I want you to scribble on it. When a poem makes you feel something, I want you to write on it of what it's making you feel. Maybe you close it and then you go write a poem, or you go cook a meal, or you dance. I want it to be something that activates alchemy within you, and really activating, how can I take this emotion, whether it's heartbreak, grief, whatever it is, and turn it into something that I have control over? Because you didn't have control over the thing that happened, but now you can control it. And it's infused with Reiki. And we have, this has been the craziest project, because we did all of the spoken word on vinyl, like on records. And it's also going to be available on Spotify. So when you get the book, there's a QR code. So you're able to listen to me speak it with this incredible music. This musician I found like took it to another level. So it's really meant to be this deep, deep immersive experience of going through the book and listening to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a beautiful body of work.
Yeah.
And
Look at this.
thank you, universe, for making you wait on it. I mean,
Yeah.
all of it, right? It's such a beautiful body of work. I'm super inspired by it all. And I know that it's going to change lives for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And I think,
So,
Fun.
guys,
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead and get on the wait list right here on the page.
Yeah. This
And I
is
bet you'll get other goodies from Talyn too.
Yeah, definitely. I do a newsletter every Tuesday, just sending some free information on how to tips and tricks and alchemy and just how to live a more spiritual life. And then you will get the updates on when the book is available for pre-order and the music on streaming. And it's just meant to be something to allow you to go deep. You know, I think as a young girl, I very much hid my emotions. I wanted to feel like I was super cool and the cool girl and not emotional. And I think it's just, I've learned that emotions are so valuable. So the more that you can feel your emotions and go deep, the more that you'll learn to know yourself, your true self, not this mask that you put on. And so I hope with this book is just to wake you up to the alchemy that you have inside each of us. I'm not special. I always like to say that. It's not that I'm any different from you. I've been heartbroken. I've been broke. I've been depressed for years. You know, I've had an eating disorder. I've been to the lowest of low. And if I can alchemize, so can you. And so I hope that this helps to lead you on that journey of really bringing your pain and making it into purpose.
Yeah. It's a beautiful creation. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
My goodness.
Thank you.
Any last words for us as we
Yeah.
wrap up?
Any parting
My
words?
last words would be is that you are right where you are meant to be.
Mm.
Everyone tends to feel behind or like they've missed something or it's too late. You can change your life right now. You can decide today that something will be different. And you have just as much power as the most successful person in the world, just to the lowest person of the world. We are all the same. We are just reflections of each other.
Mm.
Anything you see in me that you're inspired by is just that seed in yourself that you are seeing and I'm activating within you. So just know that your dream life is possible. It is your birthright. And yeah, and I love
Yeah.
you.
That's
Thank you.
beautiful.
My goodness. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Very inspiring. And I'm reading from the chat. She says, Christina says, very, very inspiring. I have been told various times that I'll be writing a book. That's exciting too. I mean, I think you've brought out a ton of, just art,
Writers.
everything for every, right,
Yeah.
right. For
And if people
everyone.
keep
So
telling you,
blessed.
Christina, there's a reason it keeps coming up.
Ooh.
So really, that listening, the universe
Yeah.
nudges you through other people a lot of the time. So I would definitely listen to that and write a book. There's no harm in writing. There's no harm ever in creating. You're creating, which is just making an extension of yourself. So it's never a waste of time to create, ever.
No.
Yeah.